Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 30th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Look at our cinnamon bun out there, our deep low across the Gulf of Alaska, helping to push this atmospheric river across the Pacific Ocean. It's got its eyes on the Pacific Northwest, but in the meantime, we do have a dry day today. Some offshore winds. Do get out there and enjoy that if you have a chance, or wrap up any last minute yard work before the rain returns, and some breezy conditions as we go through this weekend. We'll take a look at the latest on that, some interesting stuff that you're going to want to see, and we'll take a look at the extended forecast as always as we go through the video this morning. So northern Pacific Ocean, Japan is to the far left of this image. There's the Pacific Northwest to the right. You got Japan to the bottom, Alaska to the top, and this jet stream just raging at over 200 miles per hour pushes into the Pacific Northwest, and that's associated with our atmospheric river as we go on in through the day tomorrow, and it hangs with us this weekend. We have additional systems potentially rolling through as we go on into next week as well. You can see the Gulf of Alaska trough remains active as we go towards this is next Tuesday night when the European model run ends. But there's our low pressure center that I called the cinnamon bun there, and the Pacific Northwest is to the right of this image. And if I put this into motion, you notice we are nice and dry today across the region, but there goes that atmospheric river as we go through tomorrow morning, really bringing some heavy rain to western BC, Vancouver Island. Then that starts to push down across western Washington, and this is as the trick-or-treaters are getting going. So a lot of western Washington likely to be in some light to moderate rainfall for the trick-or-treating time, and it even tries to get down towards Portland as we go about 7 o'clock there. It looks like it starts raining on the recent European model. But also, we got some breezy conditions, both with the arrival of this atmospheric river across some of the northwest interior and some of the coastal areas. But then look at this late breaking wave here. You got to really watch these because this is deepening as it approaches the coastline, and that's got a pretty decent pressure gradient on the south side of it as well. That could bring some gusty winds to places like Portland, Seattle, southwest BC, the coastal areas, depending on exactly the track and the strength of this low. We got to watch that one really closely because those ones can be sneaky little buggers. They're bringing a decent amount of wind when they move over the area. And then we scroll on in towards Sunday, and it's Sunday night into Monday and Tuesday. See additional frontal systems potentially. We'll worry about those as we get a little bit closer. As you can see, the Gulf of Alaska trough is just churning as we go through next week. Now, what is going on here across the northern hemisphere? You might ask, why are we getting so active here as we go through the month of November or late October? Now, that's not atypical for this time of year. Of course, you're cooling down the northern hemisphere. The direct rays of the sun are now below the equator, and they're starting to warm up the southern hemisphere a bit more. So we cool things down quite dramatically, although the oceans, they don't cool down that quickly. We got a lot of heat across the tropics there. So we're going to get a pretty good clash of air masses as we go through the fall and the winter months. That's just what happens every year. So the jet stream gets stronger, it gets further south, and it starts to bring these mid-latitude cyclones back down a bit further into, the mid-latitudes here, or that's where we are in the Pacific Northwest. So if I put this into motion, you'll see the diurnal cycle of places warming up and then cooling down during the nighttime. But you can, again, kind of see just how much cooler the northern hemisphere and the polar regions are versus the equatorial regions. And you can kind of see that boundary out there across the Pacific Ocean. And that is known where the mid-latitudes are, and the mid-latitude cyclones develop in this region. So if we take a wide look at the Pacific Ocean, you can see how all this warm, moist air kind of hangs out here across the western Pacific Ocean. And this is why La Nina and El Nino is so important, because during El Nino, you'll get more of this deep convection back out across the equatorial Pacific Ocean, and it can change jet stream configurations, Rossby waves, ridges and troughs downstream. So that's why meteorologists and climatologists pay a lot of attention to ENSO, the El Nino Southern Oscillation. So if I put this into motion, what you'll notice here is this atmospheric river pushing into the Pacific Northwest, but you'll also notice there's atmospheric rivers all the time. Even in the summer months, there's atmospheric rivers out there pushing around. They just become more impactful and stronger as you get through the fall and the winter months. And you can see some of these typhoons, these tropical systems here across the western Pacific. This heat wants to go towards the poles. Nature doesn't like this imbalance of this warm, moist air versus much colder air off to the north. So you get a powerful jet stream coming off of Asia, and those can really ramp up some of the ridges and troughs downstream. These can develop very strong storms all the way back across the Pacific Ocean into the Pacific Northwest as Mother Nature is going through its heat transfer process. It's never ending. And when we go off into the extended forecasting, again, kind of see some of those frontal systems all the way back up, and at the end of the run, a couple atmospheric rivers pushing back into the Pacific Northwest as well. Now, looking at 39,000 feet up, and if we look at that jet stream, there's our atmospheric river, and we scroll off in towards the future there, and you can continue to see this jet stream just kind of gets rejuvenated. And again, that's because of the big contrast of what's going on across the northern hemisphere, the polar regions there, versus what is going on across the equator. This big gradient is because of that temperature difference across the globe. So yeah, it just kind of rejuvenates, and it's never ending. It just rolls on through the 2-week period there. Now, let's pay attention to what is going on now. So if I scroll through this is on the day today. You can see some of these gusty winds through the Gorge, Stampede Gap, some of the Stevens Gap out there as well. These are easterly winds coming across the Cascades. You can see them come all the way out to the coastal areas. So we do have a very nice dry day today. And you can see some of these gusty winds even out of the northeast and east there for eastern Washington as well. Now, we scroll on in towards this tomorrow, Friday, and you can see some of these gusty winds start to emerge as we go through the day on Friday. So watch out for this. Western BC, straight to Georgia, coastal areas, northwest Washington. As you go through the late morning hours, you notice the wind's going to start to pick up there as that atmospheric river is bearing down. And then as we scroll off in towards, let me update this because it looks like this is running as we speak. We'll go back to hour 45, and we get a bit of a breezy, some breezy conditions as the cold front swings through. And that's what the Europeans showed there being a low pressure center on the backside of that. So that is going to swing through there, and that could bring blustery conditions as well. More on that here in a moment. Now, looking at composite reflectivity, precipitation. So what everybody wants to know, is it going to be raining when my kids are out there, or if I'm going trick-or-treating or whatnot, or whatever you may be doing tomorrow? It looks like that does come across. And by the time you get towards 5 p.m., it's raining for Seattle. A lot of western Washington, southwest BC, Vancouver Island. It's going to be dealing with that rain much of the day, and it tries to get down towards Portland. And you also see a little bit of light precipitation for places like Spokane, some of eastern Washington. It's not going to amount to much with that. So if you're trick-or-treating, you might be okay with that. Now, a little bit of a closer look here at 80-meter wind speed. Again, you can see those gusty winds out of the east as you go through today. Again, a very nice day today. Do get out there and enjoy that. Then you see the winds pick up as we go on in through the day tomorrow. Out of the southeast there across the northwest interior, some of the coastal areas start to get a bit breezy there as well. Then you see the wind pick up as we go on in through Saturday morning here across some of the Puget Sound. Again, depending on just how strong that little low pressure center is. Now, if we look at the European, which had it more defined in that low pressure center, first we'll look at that atmospheric river. There it is pushing into Vancouver Island. We scroll on in through the day Friday. It's pushing, and then you notice that wrapping up right there. That's the system we got to watch. That one is gaining strength and could bring some blustery conditions. That's a pretty windy solution across some of the Puget Sound, northwest interior, and some of the coastal regions. So we really got to watch that late breaking wave on the European model right there. And then we push off into the extended forecast. You see additional systems taking aim at us, but we're going to worry about that later. We got enough to deal with here in the short term. Now look at Seattle Tacoma International Airport, 43 miles per hour it shows in control run. Some of the ensembles are actually bigger than that, but some of them don't show much at all. And again, it depends on the exact track and the strength of that low. So we'll be watching that one closely during tomorrow's forecast. Vancouver, you can see not many of the ensembles have it, but a few of them do. And the control run actually showed some pretty windy conditions there. But again, a lot to work out with that low pressure center. Now, also we got hydrologic outlooks here across some of the Olympic Peninsula for some potential for flooding. You can see moderately strong, weak to moderately strong atmospheric river. 2 to 4 inches, locally 5+, and you can see some of these snow levels up over 8 to 9,000 feet. So there's going to be some snow that recently fell that will melt, and there is some flooding potential with this as well. But for the most part, across much of the region, this is a pretty beneficial atmospheric river. You just want to watch out if you are in some of these areas and you know who you are across the Olympic Peninsula. This is looking at Spokane, and I would, I think these percentages here for Friday night's precipitation are a little bit on the high side. That might hold off a little bit longer on in through Friday night into Saturday morning. But there's a nice graphic here from the National Weather Service Spokane. Got some high winds as these systems start to move in across portions of western Montana. That would include cut banks just across the Rocky Mountains. That's for a high wind watch right now. Now, taking a look at the European ensemble, we're going to look at the extended forecast a little bit here. And you can see by the time we go on in towards, what is this, Sunday morning right there. Look at that, almost 2 inches of precipitation for Seattle. And if we scroll on in towards the next week, you see this precipitation just kind of continuing. It starts to include California as well. But look at this over the next 10 days or so. We're going to go all the way out in the 15-day time period here. And look at some of these precipitation amounts. Just some gaudy totals up and down the coastline here, Vancouver Island, coastal ranges, and Cascades. This is a little bit of some clickbait here because I did choose a 75th percentile, but it is showing huge amounts of precipitation even in the 50th percentile there as well. So yeah, active weather coming up here over the next couple of weeks. And look at that on the 15-day precipitation anomaly. And this is our rainiest month, November. So you know it's going pretty good here as far as precipitation is concerned over the next couple of weeks. I mean, you see the anomaly is well above normal, especially Cascades West. Now, looking at the extended forecast to try to see what's going on here, let's look at that atmospheric river, and I see something developing right there. So that artificial intelligence is kind of on what the normal European deterministic run is showing. You see that power pack pressure gradient there on the south side of that as we roll through Saturday morning. So we got to really watch that system, man. If that were to spin up a little bit more, that could cause a pretty substantial amount of wind as we go through Saturday morning. And then you see additional systems kind of moving towards strong frontal systems as we go through next week. Deep lows passing through the area, windstorm potential, you name it, we got it. Yeah, we'll just have to watch those one by one as we go off into the future. And if you guys want a nice affordable home weather station, no moving parts, no maintenance, instant online data, very fun weather station. I highly recommend it. A lot of people bought this and tell me how much they do enjoy it. So check out that link down below, click on it, save 10% off, and help support the channel as well. 6 to 10 day above normal across the West Coast. And clearly this makes sense with everything we just looked at with the above normal signal there all the way through November 8th. So check out the Patreon page if you like as well. We'll do this all again tomorrow. I'm very curious to see what that next system as we go through Friday night, Saturday morning is going to do. I'm always on the watch for those and the wind potential associated with it. But yeah, enjoy today. Nice dry day. And then we're going to go right back into the rain, and it's going to be off and on for a while after that. So do enjoy it today. So anyway, I'll end this video now. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. We'll talk all again tomorrow, and I will see you guys then.